Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Lancaster. Trying a new mic. Let's see, are we set? Is it on? Super. Good morning and welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Lancaster on this beautiful fall day. It is Thanksgiving week, and as somebody who loves Thanksgiving, I want to celebrate the whole week, so I invite you to do that too. I'm glad you're here for the service. Our call to worship this morning are words by my colleague, Barbara Peskin. She says, "May the glory of the passing of Way of Autumn lie about us fresh gold for a time. And when the dark comes and the cold, may we remember how today we stand in glory, how we walk in bounty, heaped on earth's dark carpet, how we move knee-deep in abundance, flung against night's winter curtain. We are thankful for its coming and for its passing. Let it be." Let us worship together. I invite you to turn in the hymnal, and we're going to sing together number 67 in the gray hymnal. Find one of those near you. We'll stand and sing a fairly wordy but good old Thanksgiving hymn. We sing now together. Please rise as you are able, number 67. Standing for the lighting of our chalice. In Unitarian Universalism, the chalice is our most central symbol. We light it each Sunday when we gather. We light it at child dedications and at memorial services and at weddings. For us, it is a flame of truth and of peace. It is a light of hope and of love. And this morning, we light it with these words by Christine Robinson. She says, "We gather this hour as people of faith, with joys and sorrows, gifts and needs. We light this beacon of hope, sign of our quest for truth and meaning, in celebration of the life that we share together." Please be seated. Again, a very warm welcome to everyone who has come to church today. I always tell folks that you can be assured that there's somebody brand new every single Sunday at a Unitarian Universalist church. And so if this is the very first Sunday that you have joined us in this sanctuary, or whether you have been coming here for decades, just know that this is exactly where you need to be for the next hour as we gather and worship together. I want to say a word about parking. There's been a lot of conversation about parking. We are an urban church, so parking is always a challenge on Sunday morning, and the success of the cafe next door makes it a little extra challenging, so we'll just have to be patient. I encourage you to get to church a little bit early if you can, so that you can find some parking. We're really trying to keep the front space open as a drop-off, so please don't park. The signs are clearly posted there. Don't park in the front. But if you're somebody who needs to park closer to the church and you may be having a little bit of trouble finding a space, or you're just running a little late, just put your car in any one of the spaces behind the church. You just come down this street right here and turn into the little alley, and then there are 5 spaces right here behind church. Use any one that is available if you need to be closer or if you're running late. And that way we'll try and help everybody get to church as they need to. If Chestnut is really busy and you need to drop somebody off, again, in the back of the church is a much safer, much easier place to drop somebody off. All right, welcome and parking, check and check. Our first reading today is a poem by Jane Kenyon. This is her poem, Let Evening Come. Let the light of late afternoon shine through the chinks in the barn, moving up the bales as the sun moves down. Let the crickets take up chafing as a woman takes up her needles and her yarn. Let evening come. Let dew collect on the hoe abandoned in the long grass. Let the stars appear and the moon disclose her silver horn. Let the fox go back to its sandy den. Let the wind die down. Let the shed go black inside. Let evening come. To the bottle in the ditch, to the scoop in the oats, to the air in the lungs, let evening come. Let it come as it will, and don't be afraid. God does not leave us comfortless, so let evening come.
So please join with me in responsive reading 515. I will give you a moment to find it towards the back of your hymnal. I will read the regular print, and you can respond with italicized print. So it's reading 515. For the sun and the dawn, which we did not create, for the food which we plant but cannot grow,
for friends and loved ones we have not earned and cannot buy,
for this gathered company which welcomes us as we are from wherever we have come,
all our free churches that keep us human and encourage us in our quest for beauty, truth, and love,
for all things which come to us as gifts of being from sources beyond ourselves.
Gifts of life from love and friendship, we lift up our hearts in thanks this day. I invite you to settle in for the sermon. The imperious grandmother of a friend of mine always started her Thanksgiving dinner the same way. After her large family had gathered around the bountiful Thanksgiving table, she would stand up and say in her most commanding voice, "Oh, "Oh God, if there is a God," and then a long grace would follow. By putting the caveat right up front, my friend's grandmother could give thanks for her many blessings, whether they came from God or just good fortune. And in this way, anyone at the table might feel included. Growing up, I used to be a bit envious of Catholic friends. When I would visit their homes, it was clear that they were Catholic. From pictures of Jesus and Mary to little crucifixes hanging around, you knew that you were in a Catholic home. No apologies. But what I envied my friends most was the short, precise grace that was said before every meal. Now, I can't quite remember how it goes, though I'm sure there's a few of you here who could say it right off the tip of your tongue. I remember it going by in the blink of an eye, the shortest, most succinct pause possible before we ate, and every child in the family knew this prayer and could say it instantly when put on the spot by their mother. Contrast this grace with the one said at my house growing up. We only really said grace for special meals, but those made up for all of the others. It was as if all the little graces that hadn't been said daily got saved up for one of those jumbo all-purpose graces. When some adult in my family got going, they made up for lost time. Long, rambling graces reminding us all of the things that we enjoyed, endless prayers that extolled us to do better next time, interminable graces ensuring that at least part of the meal would get cold before we ate it. Oh, how I longed for a short, precise Catholic grace. Most of us will be at a Thanksgiving table this week. Will there be a blessing before the meal? What will the prayer be like? Who will say it? Will you say it? Will you agree with the prayer if you don't say it? Will you feel like this grace was a blessing or a burden? And does that matter, really? As Unitarian Universalists, we are often bridge builders between faith traditions. We are champions of a religiously pluralistic society. We like to think of ourselves as open-minded about matters of faith, well, at least until it comes to family. Family puts a whole new spin on religious tolerance. We often let family members get the best of us pretty quickly. I am no exception. And this Thanksgiving might be a doozy for some of us. All our well-reasoned religious arguments fly out the window when a prayer being offered feels exclusionary, or some cousin or uncle starts talking about how America is a Christian nation after all. It is then that it is hardest to remember we pluralists live brave and bountiful lives too. So how do we respect another's beliefs while standing up for our own? I think that we must begin by knowing what it is we do believe. And sometimes this is a struggle for religious liberals. It's a struggle to define our beliefs, and for those of us with children, it's a struggle sometimes to pass those beliefs on. In the interest of teaching religious tolerance in our own homes, we sometimes balk at teaching religion at all. In her article from the UU World a few years back, Reverend Kate Braystrup gives a good example of why something as simple as a Thanksgiving grace carries tremendous weight. If I teach my child a specific prayer, I'll be indoctrinating her into a particular religion. A young man at church objected to Braystrup's call for religious clarity, enfolding his 3-year-old protectively in his arms. I want Eleanor to be free to choose her own beliefs. Parents in 21st century Western cultures are faced with a particular problem, Braestrup continues. We revere freedom, especially freedom of conscience. All freedom rests upon the freedom to choose, not only among various actions, but also between competing ideas. When Eleanor is an adult, it will be up to her to decide whether to floss her teeth, eat her vegetables, or watch 12 back-to-back episodes of Dexter. She will be free to smoke dope, starve herself to fashion model thinness, hook up with strangers, or use racial slurs. She can choose whether to clean her body, her house, or the environment, whether to help the poor or ignore them, to say please and thank you, or take the service of others for granted. In the meantime, Braestrup says, as lovingly yet authoritatively as they can, her parents make these choices for her. If they do not train Eleanor to like broccoli, the world will happily train her to like Skittles. If they do not give her tools and practices for interpreting and expressing the universal human need for meaningful communion and a sense of purpose, the world will happily fill the void. The great Buddhist teacher Thich Nhat Hanh was once asked by an American Christian how she might become a Buddhist. In a very kindly manner, he replied that she should first become the best Christian she could be, and then she might be ready to become a Buddhist. In other words, know your own tradition first. If you do not claim for yourself a religious identity, the world will happily lure you away to consumerism. If you do not figure out the difference between broccoli and Skittles, the world will happily supply you with a steady diet of McDonald's. If you cannot see the beauty of community, then you will be a good candidate for the church of What's in It for Me. The Church of What's in It for Me has many followers, but they are often lonely, lost people who think of little more than what they can get for themselves and how. This is not how I want to live, and I doubt it's how you want to live either. Luckily, we are all saved by repeating seasons and cycles. Rather than linear, time is cyclical. It is repetitive and circular. Time doubles back on itself. It offers us fresh chances over and over and over again. Thanksgiving comes around every year to remind us again to be grateful. Hanukkah happens every year to show us how to be faithful and true. Winter solstice comes around every year to remind us to have hope and to persevere. Advent teaches us to wait every year. The religious life is a ritualistic life, and it is available to everyone. Sometimes I wonder, why do we have to do church every week, especially as a minister? Why every week? And then I smile to myself because I know the answer instantly. Of course we do church every week, big services and ordinary ones. We do church every week because by worshiping together, we are saved individually. Our Unitarian Universalist faith is a rigorous one to maintain. We need one another week after week to survive in an indifferent and often hostile world. Those of us who have found hope and meaning in religious community No, we cannot sustain our spirits without church. We have learned that it's not what happens at church that matters. It's church that matters. This is why I encourage you to attend UUCL every Sunday that you are home. And if you're traveling, seek out a Unitarian Universalist church where you are and let that congregation know that you're visiting it. Don't do this for us or for me, but do it for yourself. Give yourself the gift of religious depth. In a congregation I previously served, we had a nice tradition of saying grace before communal meals. We would all show up for a potluck, dish in hand. After some initial greetings and placement of the food, someone would get everyone's attention for the blessing. When I said the grace, I would have us all stand together in a circle, holding hands. We would take a nice deep breath together as each of us truly arrived. Then I would offer a grace from the heart. Usually it had no salutation, no dear God. It just started by stating the obvious. We were grateful to be together. We were grateful for the life we had been given, grateful for good food to eat. The prayer included all of those in the circle and all of those who were running a little bit late. The prayer included those who were part of our congregation, as well as people that we would meet out in the world. The circle of hands symbolized our unity amid our particularity. For that moment, we were one. We had the same needs, desires, hopes, and dreams as the person on either side of us. For a moment, all difference dropped away. This was grace. So what does it take to lead a blessing before a meal? It takes kindness and bravery. It takes not worrying that it won't be perfect. It takes initiative and trust. It takes grace. And I'm sure we can each reach this place of grace if only we try. It will mean that each of us has to work on it some. It means that we will have to be brave enough to be the one to speak up. And that bravery can start this Thursday. What if you were brave enough to volunteer to offer the blessing before the Thanksgiving meal this Thursday? What if you prepared a little bit to make sure that that blessing that you offered really allowed everyone around the table to give thanks in their own way? What if you could be brave enough to pause in the busyness of your life to give thanks silently or aloud for any meal you share with your family or your friends? What if you could be brave enough, secure enough in yourself to offer a moment of silent gratitude before every meal you consume? How might these few seconds of gratitude change how you felt about your whole day? Try one or all of these. This is your assignment, and I want to hear how it goes. The religious life does not come without practice. It does not deepen without intention. Once more, Thanksgiving has come around to remind us to be grateful for the bounty of our lives. Once more, we are asked to give thanks. So be it. Amen. I would love you all now, just right where you are, take a minute or two and turn to your neighbor, someone you know or someone who's a complete stranger to you, and talk for 2 minutes. I'll time us so it doesn't go too long. What is your prayer this Thanksgiving? What is your prayer this Thanksgiving? Talk amongst yourselves.
I would like to share with you the Thanksgiving message that Reverend Kit Howell sent to our congregation 30 years ago in the church newsletter. This message speaks to me every year that I read it, but it especially speaks to me this year when things feel a little bit harder on a number of levels, and where I remind myself that yes, it is possible to feel grateful and sad at the same time. Both can be true. Kit's message. We are faced with Thanksgiving, a time of grateful and quiet consumption before the advent of that time of gross materialism we call the holidays. Let us enjoy this Thanksgiving and count our blessings. The sun rose today without our having to convince it to do so. The earth turned without expecting anything in return. The breath comes in, goes out without effort. The clouds sweep across the sky, and we don't have to pay a dime. Whether we know it or not, there is more going right with us than there is going wrong. And most of what is going right, we have no control over. It is almost as if life were a conspiracy to keep us going, growing, and healing. This is not to say that life won't break your heart. It will, no doubt about it. Still, no matter how bad a situation is, it contains redemption. Even if we are dying, the life within us calls us to grow and to heal. It's bigger than we are. Even if we are dying, the life within us calls us to grow and to heal. There will be pain, yes, there will. But life is even bigger than that. Let's try to feel that biggerness this Thanksgiving. Let's be grateful for life's uncanny conspiracy that keeps us going in the face of all that threatens to tear us apart. Let's be grateful for our hearts that pump love with every original burst of red, for our thoughts that can change and forgive, for our friends, ourselves, each other. Thanksgiving is a good time, whether we are by ourselves or with others. It is a time to remember that we are never alone, no matter how alone we feel. Thanksgiving is a time to remember that we all stand within that eternal conspiracy of love. We will now receive your offerings, and as a reminder, this month's share of the plate will be for Meals on Wheels of Lancaster.
We come to a thoughtful, prayerful time in our service, a time in which the joys and sorrows that rest on our hearts might be expressed. If you have come to church this morning with a joy that you'd like to press into a stone and place in the sand, you're invited to come and do that. If you are carrying a sorrow or burden and would like to do the same, please do that. Just come up the center aisle and we'll return home by the far aisle. Please come and enjoy this ritual of joys and sorrows with our stones. now invite you to sit in silence for a few moments with this gathered congregation. Then I will offer a prayer. Spirit of life, we gather on this Sunday before Thanksgiving. We gather in the calm before this busy week, a week that has lots of cooking in it and some travel for some of us, a week in which family will be gathering or friends will be gathering, a week in which the expectations to give thanks are very high, whether we feel like it or not. Bless us this week and keep us patient. Keep us tolerant of those friends and family that'll be around the table with us. Let us remember who we are and who they are. May there be a coming together this Thursday. Our nation has just been through a very difficult election and is facing times of uncertainty as it goes forward. When Abraham Lincoln invented or popularized Thanksgiving, it was to bring folks together after the Civil War. Let its purpose be the same for us. May we find ourselves around the table with people who truly love us and who care about us, who wish to see us thrive and grow, and we wish to see them thrive and grow. And no matter our difference, may we feel as if, at least for that meal, that there is some unity, there is some peace. For we know deep down inside that each of us is a worthy human being, just as we are, with our gifts and with our foibles. Each of us will come to the table this Thursday fully present to the beauty and reality of this world, fully willing to engage in both its gorgeousness and its harshness. Remind us always that we are not alone, that we do this work in community, that we have abundant friends around us, that people love us and that we are supported. Remind us once again this Thursday of the purpose of our lives, the way that we might share it with those around us, and extend that grace, extend that peace and that community on out into a world that needs it so desperately. This is our prayer the Sunday before Thanksgiving. See us through it, and may it live in us. Amen.
I was going to say to join with the affirmation of faith in your hymnal, but my hymnal doesn't seem to have one. Must have been a newer one. It's in the front of the hymnal. So we will say it first in English and then in Spanish. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its gift. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. El amor, el espíritu, y esta iglesia, y el servicio es su ofrenda. Este es nuestro compacto en convivir unidos en paz, al buscar la verdad, el amor, y ayudarnos unos a los otros. So I, at this time, want to call your attention to the announcements, and you can find them in the back of the bulletin. One important announcement to call your attention to is these little order forms in your bulletin. At the holidays, we have a poinsettia sale, and during the holiday services, they're all around the church, make things really beautiful, and then you take them home afterwards. So we really want to revive that tradition again and just have lovely poinsettias to celebrate, honor, or be in the memory of your loved ones. $10 each, so just use the pew envelope, put your $10 in there. The offering plates already came if you didn't do this already, but I'm sure you could drop it off at the office too. Also, coffee hour downstairs in Emerson. We hope you come down and just enjoy community and coffee. And there is an elevator right out there if the stairs are a little tricky for you.
Thank you, Linda. One other thing that I meant to mention in the welcome is we know that COVID is still around as other illnesses. Please know that you are always welcome to wear a mask here or not. And if you're feeling ill on a Sunday morning, just do everybody a favor and stay home, and I'll do the same if it happens to me. Let's sing again. We're going to turn in the gray hymnal to number 139, stand and sing, "Wonders Still the World Shall Witness." It's a good old rousing hymn. Please rise, number 139. Let us go forth from this place to have a marvelous Thanksgiving. Go and be with family and friends, enjoy good food, and to be good to yourselves in the process. Go in peace and go in love. Amen.
In 2 weeks on Saturday, the first Saturday of December, the 7th at 7, we're going to have her playing an intimate jazzy holiday concert. We're going to be me and Eli, Stephanie, and Mindy at the